Hello, and welcome to this edition of Safe and Sound. I'm your host, Doug Bolnick, from the St. Charles County Department of Community Health and the Environment. We're headed into the thick of winter, and on today's show, we're discovering tips to help us during this most wonderful time of the year. Marty Limpert from the St. Charles County Ambulance District will recommend ways that you and your family can stay safe during winter activities. And then St. Charles County Health Educator Brittany Schultenheinrich will provide suggestions for giving safe holiday presents. To help us live longer and healthier, St. Charles County Community Health Nurse Theresa Turnbull will suggest things to talk about at family gatherings, and we will tour a local recreation facility to see how to burn off those tasty holiday cakes and cookies. But first, I've invited Julia Barbagalla from Crider Center to help us manage holiday stress. Welcome, Julia, and thanks for coming to Safe and Sound.
Thanks for having me.
With the hustle and bustle of the holidays, things can get a little bit overwhelming, can't they?
Sure, they sure can.
How can someone recognize that the stress levels are getting to them, and what are some of the symptoms?
Well, there's lots of different symptoms of stress. Some of those common ones that you hear, like irritability, changes in your sleep. Sometimes your body will feel pain in relation to stress, isolating from others. But one of the best things to predict and to know if you're stressed out is just knowing your own body, knowing what your regular, your body tells you when you're stressed out. Everybody kind of has their different thing. I hear some people get pains in their back if they're feeling really stressed. So being in tune with yourself and really being able to tell when it's getting to be too much.
And if you can feel those initial things, what are some things that you can do to relieve that stress?
There's lots of those typical things that you hear, like exercise, paying attention to your diet, good time management, especially around the holiday season with having a lot of stress is very helpful for people. And once again, knowing what works for you. Some people need to take some time off, take a day off work, take a mental health day, and that really works, and that might not work for someone else. Always paying attention to those typical things that work for people, and really being good to yourself, but also remembering what has specifically worked for you in the past.
And in addition to taking care of it for yourself, are there some resources out in our community that people can do? They can either call or go to a website or whatever. Can you tell us a few of those?
Sure. Well, first I want to say, if you're feeling stressed or you're needing extra help, the best person to go to is your doctor, especially if you haven't sought help before for any sort of stress management. Checking in with your PCP can be a really good first tool. But some other things in the community is looking up, your local community mental health provider. There's one in every county, so whoever, serves the county that you live in. And then, there's a lot of phone calls and, resources that you can use, like behavioral health response. There's a friendship line. It can be really helpful just to go online. Google doesn't lie. And look up some local help, but starting with your PCP is probably the best bet.
Thanks for these wonderful tips on helping us keep control, Julia.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
With colder temperatures and icy conditions, staying safe during the winter can be difficult as well. Marty Limpert from the St. Charles County Ambulance District offers suggestions to protect us while we're working and playing.
During the winter, the best way to dress is in layers. It's important to cover your head, wear a hat, hopefully like a wool type hat, a scarf, mittens are preferred over gloves just because they maintain body heat better, and to dress in layers because then it acts as an insulating factor. And if you're able to wear something on the outside that's kind of windproof, that's probably the perfect match for you. The early signs of hypothermia would be confusion, shivering, and shivering is just your body's attempt to warm itself. And obviously when your skin starts getting cold to the touch. And the people that are more susceptible to this are obviously the elderly and babies. Many people don't realize that even putting babies in cold rooms because they've turned the heat off at night can result in them becoming hypothermic. So they should make sure they maintain some heat in that room and keep them bundled up as well during the winter months. I do want people to know that just because, from a hypothermic standpoint, it doesn't have to be below freezing to become hypothermic. If you've fallen into water, you're out camping or you're hunting, and you get wet, wicks heat away from your skin. So if it's windy, it could be 40 degrees, and you could still become hypothermic rather easily. When somebody's suffering from the effects of the weather, you need to move them out of the cold environment into a warm environment, and just warm them slowly. If their hands were cold, you put them in warm water, not hot, to kind of warm them. If they got to the point where they're getting from hypothermia and they're starting to get frostbite and their skin perhaps has gotten not only really red, but it's gotten waxy, you need to seek immediate medical attention at that point. The parts that we see affected mostly by harsh weather are obviously the extremities. You know, if people don't have their ears covered, their nose, their cheeks, their lips, all those things that are exposed to the elements when it's really cold, and especially the wind compounds those things. So those are the areas where we see damage to the skin right away, in the fingers and toes. People might be surprised to learn, but yes, you can get sunburn, very badly in the winter, and it just makes sense if you correlate it to the summer when you're out in the pool and the UV rays are reflecting off of the water. It does the same when it's snow. That snow reflects it. We've all been out there where you almost get like the snow blindness. Well, that's reflecting about 80% of the UV rays back onto your face. So not only you get them directly from the sun, but you're getting it reflected as well, which is why you see skiers wearing goggles all the time, and they have chapstick on and they put lotion on. So it's a time to be especially careful in the winter when there's snow on the ground. I would definitely have sunscreen on in the winter, especially if there is snow on the ground, because it just reflects that you're getting twice as much as you would normally get. When it comes to driving in icy or snowy conditions, there are some precautions you should take. Number one, obviously, we need to slow our speed down a little bit because stopping distances will be longer. It's easier to get off the road. Depending where you're at, St. Charles still has some really rural areas out here, so you could be out there for a while if you go off the roadway until somebody comes by, depending what time of day or night. But you should have an emergency kit packed as well. You should have some water in there. You should have some kind of protein bars in there if you're going to be there for a while. Obviously, a cell phone, a candle is a good thing, with some matches, because just one candle can produce a lot of heat in that vehicle. If you're stranded for an extended period of time, you should run your car for about 10 minutes at a time with the heater on and then turn it back off. And if you have some flares, glow sticks, a flashlight, anything you can signal for help, but stay in your vehicle as long as you can, because that's at least going to keep you out of the elements as long as possible. For more information, you can go to the St. Charles County Ambulance District website at www.sccad.com, and there's information on there. Or you can go to any of the health organizations. You can Google, type in anything for what you need, an emergency kit for winter, anything about sunburn in the winter. All these issues we talked about is readily accessible.
Thanks, Martin. After this break, we'll talk more about ways to keep our families safe and sound this winter.
Thanks for calling the GED Pep Talk Center. Jerry Stiller speaking. Your level 7 in-your-face pep talk.
I can keep pushing you. Believe me, I'm good at it. But at some point, you're going to need to start pushing yourself.
See, once you've got your GED diploma, you'll feel so good about yourself.
You tell them. You can't change your past, but you can definitely change your future.
That makes me so happy, I'm ready to bust out a dance.
Mr. Trejo, can I transfer this guy to you? My gentle technique isn't really working. You need something a little more
persuasive.
Yes.
You listen, and you listen good.
Hey, where's my sandwich? Terry? Terry!
Take it from me, the King DMC. It's a real cool thing to get your GED.
Get that diploma!
Now hold on and we'll find you free GED classes. Capiche?
Whatever motivation you need, we've got a pep talk for you. Get your GED pep talk and find free classes at yourged.org.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are the #1 killer of children 1 through 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Today is Saturday. Today is Saturday. Yeah. Salad on Saturday, fruit on Friday, bubble Thursday. Water Wednesday, touch your toes Tuesday. Let's move Monday, swap the snacks Sunday.
All the healthy children eat well and move a lot. And move a lot. And move a lot. Eat well and move a lot.
60 minutes of physical activity a day and eating well can help get your child healthy. So keep them active and eating well every day.
Skip a rope Saturday, freeze tag Friday, tap dance Thursday. Whole grain
get ideas. Get involved. Get going at letsmove.gov. That's letsmove.gov.
Welcome back to this edition of Safe and Sound. On today's show, we're focusing on winter health and safety. In addition to our own safety, we must also be concerned that the gifts we give this holiday are safe as well. St. Charles County health educator Brittany Schulten-Heinrich will help us make good choices. Thanks for joining us today, Brittany.
Thanks for having me.
Most of the time as we celebrate the holidays, we think, what's the coolest gift? What's the most exciting gift this time of year? But we should also be worried about what's the most appropriate gift as well.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, especially when it comes to children. One of the greatest joys of parenting is being able to watch our children grow, learn, and play, and toys are an important and fun part of any child's development. This day and age, we really like to think if we buy a product that's intended for an infant or a child that it's going to be safe to use, but that really isn't always the case. If you were to take a stroll to one of the customer service desks at many local retailers, including Toys R Us, Target, and Walmart, you would see notices of toy recalls. So even though we have enacted more stringent toy safety standards, it's still really important for parents to be highly selective when it comes to purchasing toys this year.
I think many of us have heard about getting age-appropriate toys, but there's some other things that we should consider. What are some of those things?
Of course. You do want to pay attention to toy instructions and the age warnings on those toys, but really making sure that each child knows how to use the toys properly. You also want to make sure that they're supervised during their play. Any toys that are made of fabric should be labeled as flame resistant or flame retardant. Stuffed toys should be able to be washable. Paint-covered toys should have lead-free paint. Art supplies should all be labeled as non-toxic. It's also really important that parents steer clear of hand-me-down toys, because those toys, although cost-effective and may even have sentimental value, they could not meet the current safety requirements, and they could be so worn that they pose a hazard to children.
And you mentioned a number of different things that we should be worrying about, and the reason is because they can cause some harms. What are some of the things that are commonly associated with inappropriate or malfunctioning toys?
Sure. Children under 5 tend to be at the highest risk for toy-related injury, and choking is certainly the most common. But with so many different types of toys and games out there, children are also left open to fractures, broken bones, burns, suffocation, drowning, falls. And especially male children, they tend to have the highest rates of toy-related injuries, and those injuries are most common to the face, head, neck, eyes, ears, and mouth. And choking is most common in children under the age of 3.
You mentioned that some of the stores have recall lists, but where else can people find at their own home either a website or a phone number to call?
I would recommend that viewers look to the Consumer and Product Safety Commission. They're an excellent resource, but also Parents.com has a list of holiday toys by age group for consumers to check out, and they also have a toy recall finder so they can check their own toys in their home to make sure that they meet those current safety requirements.
Thanks a lot, Brittany, for giving us quite a bit to remember as we think for the holiday season gift giving.
Smile. My sources say that chicken soup has found their way out of
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
2 outs with a runner on first base. Now the big guy comes out the bat, hitting .342 with
Chill raw and prepared foods promptly. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
Will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
We don't win unless we work together. It's how we play our best. It's how we survive on the field.
Now that same teamwork can save 13 million people
affected by the famine, war, and drought in the Horn of Africa.
Go to this site
and forward the facts to everyone you know. The more people who know,
the more money we can raise.
And the more money we raise,
the more people we can help.
Because saving lives doesn't take a lot.
It just takes a lot of us.
Welcome back to Safe and Sound. I'm your host, Doug Bolnick. To understand why talking about your family's health history can be beneficial, we talk with St. Charles County Community Health Nurse Theresa Turnbull. Thanks for joining us today, Theresa.
You're welcome. I'm glad to be here.
So why is it important to learn about your family health history?
Well, if we know our family health history, then we can relay that information to our physicians. And if you think back to when you see a physician and he asks you, what about certain diseases, and if you have any family history of those, there's a reason that he's asking that, he or she, because many times diseases such as heart disease or diabetes or asthma, some cancers, can run in a family, and even more rare diseases like sickle cell anemia or hemophilia, cystic fibrosis, those can also run in a family. So if our physician sees a tendency or a trend in a family, then he can better treat that person by going from their family health history. There's a lot of factors that go into a disease. Genetics is one of them that we can't change, but environmental factors and lifestyle changes, can be made if we know ahead of time what diseases we're trying to prevent or what we have a higher risk for.
And when we're talking with our family members, do we need to only talk to mom family or dad's side of the family, or do we need to talk to both?
Well, absolutely we need to talk to both, because you have to include both sides of your family tree. And the genetic resource reference suggests that you have 3 generations for a complete family history for medical conditions, and that includes children and parents and siblings, aunts and uncles, nieces and nephews, cousins, and of course your grandparents. And since Thanksgiving is going to be just around the corner and we're going to be getting together with a lot of our family, it's going to provide a good opportunity to have these conversations. And in that, you want to make sure that you find out, any major medical conditions that affect any members of our family and the age that they were when those conditions were diagnosed, and of course any family deaths that have occurred, what the cause of death was, and also what age that person was when they died.
So after speaking with our family members at the next gathering that we have, and learning this information, what should we do with it next?
Well, there's a lot of online tools that can help us to compile this information and organize it, and actually even put it into a presentation that can be printed out. From there, it should absolutely be shared with our physicians. That's one of the most important reasons that you should obtain a family health history. And you can also then share it with other members of your family, that may need to know that information also.
And you mentioned some of those resources available. What exactly are they, and could you give us those websites or phone numbers?
Yes. The Centers for Disease Control has a family history website, and that can be accessed by cdc.gov. The U.S. Surgeon General's Family History incentive is hhs.gov, can be accessed through there, and then the National Society for Genetics Counselors at nsgc.org are just some websites that have a lot of good information, can help you have online tools available to help you organize those resources. We can also get, by accessing, with someone's permission, of course, their medical records, or by searching obituaries and death records from our family history that also can provide a lot of good information.
Thanks a lot for this information, Theresa. It's going to add a lot to our next family gathering.
Well, thanks, Doug, for inviting me, and I'm happy to provide the information.
It's also important to get enough exercise to keep yourself healthy. Watch now to learn what to look for when choosing a recreational facility.
The Y caters to everyone in the community. We do not turn anyone away for their inability to pay. We offer a financial assistance program that helps everyone from all walks of life. We pride ourselves on our 3 areas of focus, which are youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. We offer a little bit of everything year-round. We have youth sports, adult sports, we have leagues that we have water indoor classes, we have group exercise classes. We offer everything from child care for 6.5 months up to 6 years old, and we have our Y Club program, which is the before and after care at various local school districts. The YMCA has been in the St. Louis area for over 160 years, and what a lot of people don't know about us is that we invented swim lessons, we invented basketball, volleyball, and even Father's Day. If you're looking to choose the best facility to work out at, you should look for somewhere that has a sense of community where you can be and spend a significant amount of time. You should also look for something that has something that's all-inclusive with the membership, meaning that there are different programs that you'll be able to participate in without additional fees. And then there's the safety aspect. You want to make sure that it's somewhere you can bring your children and feel safe while you're working out. The YMCA offers a program called Silver Sneakers, which allows seniors to come in and use our facility, and their health insurance carrier pays for the membership. So it's a great way for seniors to get out and get into the YMCA and exercise and enjoy some camaraderie with their friends. The way to join the Y is to come in and visit us. We'll give you a tour of the facility. We have some forms that you'll fill out, but the typical membership can run you, depending on the membership type, anywhere from $40 for an individual to $70 for a family. We also have a membership that is a Metro membership that allows you to join all the facilities in the greater St. Louis area, and that is a monthly fee for the membership. The YMCA is a nonprofit, and which means that we are here for the community. We give back to the community. We have what's called an annual campaign called the Strong Community Campaign. That means that we don't turn anyone away for their inability to pay. If you have just lost your job, if you have limited finances or resources, you come into the Y and we will help you participate in our programs. If we give back to the community, we also have a lot of support systems where we have the diabetes prevention program and we have the Live Strong program for cancer survivors. We have a lot of various things that we do as a nonprofit, and what sets us apart from other fitness centers in the community is that we give back to the community and we're here for the community. If you're interested in more information about the Y, you can contact us at 636-928-1928 or visit our website at www.ymcastlouis.org.
Thanks, Renee, and thank you for joining me for another edition of Safe and Sound. We'll see you next time.